I watched in horror as two men in fake HOA uniforms dragged my disabled daughter Lily toward their van. "Mom, help!" she screamed as her wheelchair tipped over. Just when I thought all was lost, I heard a roaring engine. My brother Mike, an ex-Marine, came speeding down the street in his truck. Without slowing down, he crashed straight through the kidnappers' windshield, sending glass flying everywhere. They never saw him coming. Before we start the story, comment down which country you're watching from. Subscribe for more incredible true stories. My name is Sarah, and last year my husband Jason got a job at Tech Innovations. We were so happy because we finally had enough money to buy a good house for our family. Our 15-year-old daughter Lily has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair, so we needed a special house with wide doorways and no stairs. We found a perfect house in Oak Ridge Estates, a nice neighborhood with good sidewalks where Lily could easily use her wheelchair. The house was close to Lily's therapy center too. When we moved in, the neighbors were friendly and brought us food to welcome us. The HOA, Homeowners Association, president even came by to give us a welcome packet. "Mom, I love my new room," Lily said on our first day. "I can reach everything myself." Her smile made me so happy. For the first time, she had a bedroom with low shelves and an accessible bathroom that gave her independence. For 3 months, everything was perfect. Jason liked his new job. I found part-time work at the library, and Lily was doing well in her new school. We felt safe and happy in our new home. Then one day, everything changed. I was checking the mail when I found an official-looking letter with the Oak Ridge Estates HOA logo on it. The letter said, "Mandatory home inspection," in big letters. It said all homes needed to be inspected inside, and if we didn't allow it, we would be fined $200 every day. This seemed strange. We had followed all the HOA rules and gotten permission for the small changes we made for Lily's wheelchair. I called Jason at work. "Honey, we got a weird letter from the HOA about inspections. It doesn't seem right." I told him. "That does sound odd," Jason said. "Call the HOA office directly to check if it's real." I called the HOA office using the phone number from our welcome packet, not the one on the letter. Maureen, the nice lady who worked there, sounded confused when I described the letter. "We don't do home inspections unless homeowners ask for them," she said, "and we would never threaten fines like that. Can you email me a picture of this letter?" After hanging up, I felt worried. I called my brother Mike, who had recently moved nearby after 15 years in the Marines. He now worked as a security expert and had installed our home security system. "Don't let anyone in the house," Mike said firmly. "I'm coming over right now." "Have you called the police?" "Not yet. It might be nothing," I said. "Call them anyway," Mike insisted. "Better to be safe, especially with Lily in the house." I called the police non-emergency number and explained about the strange letter. They took my information, but said they couldn't send anyone out just for a suspicious letter. Lily was at physical therapy with her helper Gina. They were due home in an hour. I texted Gina to take Lily for ice cream after therapy to buy some extra time. Then I checked all the doors and windows to make sure they were locked and waited for Mike to arrive. The doorbell rang about 40 minutes after I called Mike. He couldn't have arrived yet. Through our security camera, I saw two men wearing what looked like HOA uniforms, khaki pants, and blue shirts with the Oak Ridge Estates logo. "Mrs. Reynolds?" "HOA inspection." The taller man called out, quickly showing some kind of ID badge. "We're scheduled for today." My heart started racing. I didn't schedule any inspection. I called through the door. I checked with the HOA office, and they don't do mandatory home inspections. The men were quiet for a moment. There must be some mistake. The man said, his voice changing slightly, "We have proper forms signed by the board president. If you don't let us in, we'll have to fine you immediately. Please leave any papers in the mailbox. I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'll look at them and call the office to reschedule if needed. I heard the men whispering, then, "Ma'am, we need to resolve this today. You've already been reported for violations, and waiting will only make the fines bigger." "What violations?" I asked, now sure these men weren't real HOA representatives. "Unauthorized changes to your house." The second man said, "We have pictures showing recent construction without permits." This was completely false. All our modifications for Lily's wheelchair had been approved. I texted Mike, "Two men claiming to be HOA inspectors at door now. Won't leave." He immediately replied, "Do not open door. Call police. ETA 10 minutes. I told the men, "I'm not comfortable letting you in today. Please leave your contact information, and my husband will call the HOA office." "Mrs. Reynolds, this is your final warning before we file the noncompliance report," the first man said, sounding much less friendly now. I didn't answer. Instead, I called 911 and quietly explained the situation. The dispatcher told me an officer was already on the way because of Mike's call. Through the security camera, I watched the men walk back to a white van parked on the street. It wasn't the official HOA maintenance truck I'd seen around the neighborhood. As they sat in their van, I got a text from Gina, "Heading back now. Lily loved the ice cream. Be home in 5 minutes." I panicked. I tried calling Gina's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. She usually put her phone on silent while driving. I texted Mike about this, and he replied, "Stall them if possible. Almost there." I anxiously watched through the window as Gina's blue car turned onto our street. The white van started moving immediately. As Gina parked in our driveway, the van pulled up, blocking her car against our garage. I watched in horror through the security camera as the two men approached Gina while she was helping Lily from the car into her wheelchair. They showed their fake badges and said something to Gina, who looked confused. When she shook her head and tried to will Lily toward the house, the taller man grabbed Lily's wheelchair handles. I ran outside screaming, "Get away from her! They're not from the HOA." The shorter man grabbed my arm. "Don't make this hard," he said quietly. "We just need to talk to your daughter." Gina tried to hold onto Lily's wheelchair, but the taller man pushed her hard. She hit her head on the car's side mirror and fell to the ground. "Mom, help!" Lily screamed as the man pushed her wheelchair toward their van, which now had its side door open with a ramp ready. I fought against the man holding me, scratching and kicking to get free. "Lily!" I screamed, watching helplessly as they took my daughter. The man holding me cursed as my nails scratched his arm, and his grip loosened. I broke free and ran toward Lily, who was fighting back by holding her wheels to stop from being pushed. Suddenly, I heard tires screeching. A black pickup truck came around the corner at high speed. My brother Mike was driving, looking furious in a way I'd rarely seen. The kidnappers froze when they saw the truck. The taller man let go of Lily's wheelchair and reached inside his jacket. Mike didn't slow down. He aimed his truck directly at the front of their van and crashed straight through the windshield. Glass went flying everywhere as the van's metal frame crumpled with a horrible noise. The shorter kidnapper, who had grabbed me, was knocked down by the force of the crash. Before he could get up, Mike was out of his truck, moving quickly and smoothly like only someone with military training can. The taller kidnapper had pulled out a gun, but Mike reached him before he could aim it. With a quick strike, Mike knocked the gun from his hand. In seconds, Mike had the man face down on the ground with his arm twisted behind his back. "You okay, Lily Pad?" Mike called to my daughter. Using his nickname for her without taking his eyes off the man he was holding down. Lily nodded, crying as she wheeled herself backward, away from the van. The second kidnapper tried to run away, limping down the street. He only made it past 3 houses before a police car turned the corner and stopped him. Two police officers got out with their guns drawn and quickly arrested him. I ran to Lily and hugged her as she cried against my shoulder. "It's okay, baby. Uncle Mike is here. We're safe now." Mike had tied up the first kidnapper with zip ties from his truck. He checked on Gina, who was waking up but looked dizzy. "An ambulance is coming," he told me, then came to check if Lily and I were hurt. I noticed blood dripping from a cut on Mike's forehead, probably from the crash. "You're hurt," I said. He shrugged. "It's just a small cut. The truck took most of the impact." He looked at the men, now in police custody. Lucky for them. I wasn't planning to stop. The next few hours were busy with police statements, paramedics checking everyone, and me trying to comfort Lily, who was still terrified despite having Mike there to protect us. Gina went to the hospital with a concussion, but was released that evening. Detective Rivera talked to us in our living room, taking detailed notes. "These men weren't targeting your house randomly," he explained, showing us photos of the two arrested men, Paul Mercer and Ray Castillo. "We've been looking for them because we think they've been stealing identities and blackmailing families with disabled children." "But why Lily? Why us?" Jason asked after rushing home from work when I called him. The detective hesitated before answering. "We believe they were after your settlement money. 3 years earlier, we had won money after a medication mistake had made Lily's cerebral palsy worse. The money was in a special trust to pay for Lily's medical care and future needs." "How would they even know about that?" I asked. "Those records are supposed to be private. We found evidence they've been working with someone who has access to medical billing systems," Detective Rivera explained. "They find families who received large settlements, research them, and then target them." Mike, who had been quietly listening while watching Lily, spoke up. "The fake HOA letter was a test, wasn't it? To see if they could get in legally before using force." The detective nodded. "Exactly. When that failed, they moved to Plan B, catching your daughter outside. If they had succeeded, they probably would have used her to force you to give them money or access to accounts." I felt sick realizing how close we had come to losing Lily. If Mike hadn't arrived when he did, if he hadn't taken such extreme action, will they go to jail? Lily asked quietly, speaking for the first time since giving her statement. Detective Rivera smiled gently at her. "Yes, they will. For a very long time. And we're using what we learned from them to identify and protect other potential targets." News about the attempted kidnapping spread quickly through our neighborhood. By evening, neighbors had organized a meal schedule for our family and started a neighborhood watch program. The real HOA held an emergency meeting to discuss better security and made new rules to verify all official HOA communications. The story made local news, with most reports focusing on Mike's dramatic rescue. Ex-Marine crashes truck through kidnappers' windshield to save niece became the headline of the week, which made Mike uncomfortable. "The news is making me sound like some action hero," he complained as we watched another news segment about the incident. "I just did what anyone would do for family." Not everyone would drive their truck through a windshield, Jason pointed out, patting Mike's shoulder gratefully. Mike shrugged. "The truck can be replaced. Lily can't." Despite his modesty, Mike's actions had made a big impact beyond just saving Lily. The investigation uncovered a network of similar schemes targeting vulnerable families across 3 states. 17 other potential targets were identified and warned before they could become victims. Lily had nightmares after the incident and became afraid to leave the house. Her therapist recommended counseling and group therapy with other young people who had experienced trauma. "I feel so stupid," she told us during a therapy session. "I should have known something was wrong when they approached us." "You weren't stupid," Mike said firmly. "These men were professionals who had planned this for weeks. They knew exactly what to say and do. "Your uncle is right," the therapist agreed. And feeling scared after something like this is completely normal. The important thing is to acknowledge those feelings without letting them control your life. Gradually, with support and time, Lily began to feel safe again. A big breakthrough came when Mike suggested she take self-defense classes specially designed for people in wheelchairs. Being prepared doesn't mean living in fear, he explained as he introduced her to Sam, an instructor who taught wheelchair-based defensive techniques. It means understanding what you can do and knowing how to use it if needed. Watching Lily learn to use her wheelchair for protection made me both proud and sad. No 15-year-old should need these skills, but seeing her confidence grow with each session was powerful. I struggled with guilt, constantly wondering if I could have prevented what happened. Should I have recognized the fake letter sooner, called the police immediately, told Gina not to bring Lily home until I confirmed it was safe? Jason and Mike both assured me that I had done everything right, checked if the letter was real, kept the men outside, called for help, but I still wondered what I could have done differently. Things changed for me during a support group meeting for parents of children with disabilities. After sharing my experience and fears, another mother spoke up. "You know what I hear in your story?" she said. "Not failure, but fierce protection. You questioned that letter when something felt off. You kept them outside. You physically fought armed men to reach your daughter. And you raised Lily to fight for herself, too. She grabbed those wheels and resisted. That's not a family that failed. That's a family of fighters." Her words helped me see things differently. We had survived. More than that, we had helped expose criminals who might have hurt many more families. 6 months after the attempted kidnapping, we had adjusted to a new normal. Mike had moved permanently to our neighborhood, buying a house just 3 doors down from ours. His security consulting business was doing well as homeowners associations throughout the region asked for his help establishing security measures. Jason and I became advocates for better protection of medical settlement records, working with lawmakers to draft stronger privacy laws. Lily started a support group for young people with disabilities who had experienced trauma, creating the safe space she had needed after the incident. We had physical reminders of what happened, the stronger doors and windows Mike had installed, the emergency alert system connected to the police department, and the self-defense techniques that Lily practiced daily. But we didn't let these precautions control our lives with fear. "We're not living in fear," as Lily explained to a local reporter who interviewed her about her support group. "We're living with awareness. There's a big difference." As for Mike's truck, the vehicle that had saved Lily, it had been too damaged to repair economically. Yet Mike refused to scrap it, instead having it completely rebuilt. Sentimental value, he explained when asked about the expense. But I understood the deeper truth. That truck represented the moment when all his military training had served a purpose that brought unquestionable good into the world. The rebuilt truck now had a small decal on its rear window, the letters LLP surrounded by a simple shield. Lily's protection detail, Mike called it with a smile. His private reminder of the day. He'd driven straight into danger because his niece needed him. On the anniversary of the kidnapping attempt, we had a family barbecue in our backyard. Lily, now 16 and learning to drive with special controls, wheeled around directing everyone with cheerful confidence. Detective Rivera joined us, bringing news that the leader of the kidnapping network had been sentenced to 30 years in prison. The man who had organized the operation, a former insurance employee with access to confidential settlement records, would likely spend the rest of his life in jail. "You should know," Rivera told us as we sat around the patio table, "that what happened here changed things. The exposure of this operation led to security improvements in how medical settlements are recorded and monitored. At least a dozen other families have been spared what you went through." Lily squeezed my hand under the table. We had all been changed by that day, carrying scars both visible and invisible, but we had also grown in ways I never expected. Mike, cooking at the grill with focused attention, caught my eye and nodded slightly. Between us passed the unspoken understanding of what might have happened, what did happen, and what was possible now because he had arrived at exactly the right moment. Later, as evening came and neighbors stopped by with food and conversation, I found myself standing beside Mike's truck, now restored with no visible evidence of its dramatic crash. "You know what still bothers me?" Mike said quietly, joining me with a glass of lemonade. "Not that I drove through their windshield. Anyone would have done that for Lily. I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't have." I laughed. He shook his head. "The part that haunts me is what would have happened if I'd been stuck in traffic, if I'd arrived even 2 minutes later." I leaned against his shoulder, understanding completely. "But you weren't, and you didn't." "No," he agreed, watching Lily laugh with her friends across the yard. "And that's the only part that really matters." As we rejoined the gathering, I thought about how trauma can both break and strengthen you. The same event that terrified us had also surrounded us with stronger community support, given us new purpose, and made us appreciate each ordinary day more. The fake HOA officers had thought we were vulnerable. Instead, they discovered our greatest strength, the invisible but unbreakable bonds that held our family together, crash-tested and proven beyond doubt. Like and share this video if you believe family always comes first. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible true stories every day.